Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Holidays in the Sun. I am your host, Miles Hoyle. A quick few notes before I begin. This is a music podcast, and I'll be doing all sorts of genres. There will not always be a specific theme. However, for today's first episode, I'll be covering local music here in Norfolk, Virginia, which is where I'm based out of. I'm in two bands as well. I play accordion in both the Fighting Jamesons as well as MOsquito Cabaret. I'll be having a special guest on later, Peter Overstreet from the band Spirit Gun. I recently saw them perform at the Norfolk Tap House along with Deathhouse Blues and Feral Conservatives. For those of you listening, if you haven't already been to the Norfolk Tap House or you're trying to get involved in seeing local music, it's a great place to catch a good handful of bands, and it's always just $5 at the door. It is located at 931 West 21st Street here in Norfolk. And up first, I'm going to get started with a band called The Framers. This is their song Blue Nightgown off of their Sunlight Fever album.
For the first time, I'm not listening. There are other ways to grab my attention now, and it's not with sound. As you lay out your sad solutions, I haven't come to one conclusion. How will I get this out? Stop the train from passing through this town. I can still see you in your nightgown. For a second there I linger. My brain is filled with sunlight fever. Where did I get these eyes? Coming down with something better, coming up with nothing lesser than a different set of minds. Stop that train from passing through this town. All I want is you and your nightgown. Last time I will listen to everything that I've been missing. Why has it come to this? You stop that train from passing through this town. All I see is you in your nightgown. You faded fast while standing on my heart. You made it last right from the very
Again, that was The Framers with their tune Blue Nightgown, and coming up next is a hardcore punk group out of Virginia Beach called BATO. This is the opening track on their demo called Leech.
Everything that you get, asking, no
You just heard BATO with their song Leech off their demo. You can stream and download the band's demo for free on Bandcamp, though it would be nice if you left them a tip. You can find them at batovb.bandcamp.com, or if you're an old school tape collector, you can pick up a demo tape at one of their shows. You can also order them from Sick Zip Records. Just check out the Sick Zip Records Facebook page for details, or you can email them directly at sickziprecords@gmail.com. You can also pick up that previous tune from the Framers at their page as well, which is simply just theframers.bandcamp.com. Being that we just came off a bit of a high note there with that raging punk rock tune from BATO, coming up next is a very interesting twist on an old classic. Here is Death Valley Rally's version of the Ramones' I Won't Let It Happen. Again, that was Death Valley Rally from the Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, a Ramones Reverence compilation that the group did for the blog that celebrates itself, which you can stream for free and donate what you wish on Bandcamp as well. The group also has a fantastic debut album called The Northern Lights and an EP entitled The Stars Shine Brighter After Midnight, both definitely worth checking out. Coming up next is the Janks with Ain't Nobody Gonna Love Me Like the Devil Do.
bucket of gin. Ain't nobody gonna love me like the devils do.
You just heard the Janks. Some interesting information about their lineup. They are very active members of the Norfolk music scene. Each member also participates in some other projects. The group's frontman Ronnie Talman also fronts the band The Mirrors. Bassist Micah Kaplan also plays an instrumental jam rock funk project called Saving Daylight, which the group's percussionist Michael Morgan also plays in. And get ready for this. He also plays in MOsquito Cabaret, Ghost Town Union, and even some solo material under his name. And on top of all that, if he wasn't busy enough, he also does some really interesting artwork, which is available and you can check out on his website, which is www.mikewmorden.com. And now I'm very excited to both thank and welcome Pete Overstreet. Pete fronts the band Spirit Gun as its guitarist and singer, and he's going to talk with me a bit about Spirit Gun and play a few songs for us today that will be featured on their upcoming release, New Eyes. So Pete, tell us about Spirit Gun. That's a great name. What's the story behind that?
I had been looking to kind of do something different. I had had a couple projects with my name in them, and this, I guess it just portrayed a sort of idea that I was some sort of, singer-songwriter type thing. And, we have a lot of them here in the area. So I was like, well, maybe it's time to have a band name in a band situation. And I came up with the name kind of on accident. I was hanging out with my friend Trisha Martin, and we were having coffee. And we'd been listening to so much music that morning. I think we listened to like Typo Negative, Early Cure, and I had heard about this band called the Gun Club, and they're an 80s based blues punk band, and they had a song called Fire Spirit. Just kind of listening to that and everything. And as we're listening, Trisha, her and her husband Gordon, they have a film production company. They do a lot of stagehand work around here. She was like working on some sort of prosthetic. And I remember asking her, hey, what's the name of the stuff that you're using right there? And she says, Spirit Gum. And I was like, Spirit Gum? Spirit Gun. I was like, there is just no way that this name has not been used already. So I immediately go to Google, and I find out that there really hasn't been a band that's used it, but there is a cartoon, like an anime, and I was like, that's really cool. And I guess the guy uses the spirit gun to take down the bad guys, and I was like, well, that's an excellent name. So I decided to stick with that, and I met up with a couple people, and they learned a lot of the songs that I play now, but scheduling kind of threw a wrench in that, and it kind of fizzled out by December. And I kind of went back to playing solo gigs, and I kind of sat on the name for like a good 8.5, 9 months. And I met up with another guy named Julian, who I guess was in the second version. He played bass and guitar, and then Dave Allen, and we did a bunch of shows together. So I kind of been through some members, but I've stuck to it.
Interesting. Who are their current members? Bring us up to speed.
Oren Lev. Known Oren forever. I've known him since '97, and I had tried a project with him back in '08 called The Capital I. I sang and played bass, and I think I had like some work scheduling things. It just, sometimes it's just not time to be in a band. It's just the way it is sometimes. And recently, we have like a fourth member, Kurt, who was an excellent drummer and cajon player, and he plays in like 9 projects. So I was looking for somebody to fill those shoes and still have Kurt every once in a while, maybe. And I talked to Oren about doing some buttons for Spirit Gun, and he jokingly said one day, he's like, yeah, I can be the drummer in Spirit Gun. And I was like, yeah. Well, then, I called him up and said, would you like to be the drummer in Spirit Gun? And he goes, are you serious? And I'm like, I am. So we got together with my bass player, Steve Siegel, who Steven was a fan first. He came to a bunch of shows. I knew that he played bass, but he's a huge doom metal and black metal fan. And I'm thinking, I don't know if he'd play Spirit Gun songs. And one night he came over for coffee, and we were hanging out, and I'd kind of come up with this sort of surfy thing, which is She Sells Narcissism, which is one of the newer songs. And he picked up the bass, and he was playing like this sort of Black Sabbath sort of bass line. And I was like, well, what a beautiful combination. It's like surf and Black Sabbath. And I was like, come on, man, you gotta do this. And he's like, no, I don't really want to be in our project. It's like, oh, okay. So I'll just stay an acoustic duo with Kurt and play the occasional gig at fairgrounds or something, right? And I sent him the 4-song EP, the acoustic EP that Kurt and I did. I think Christy Walsh played one of the tracks, Bonfire, twice on 96X. And he listened to that. I saw him at work. And he comes out of the bathroom. I'm in the back receiving area at Harris Teeter. And he's like, I'll do it. It's freaking awesome. I'll do it. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And there's like managers sitting there. And I'm like, hey, no, it's fine. Please go back to what you're doing. So we've been kind of, in this thing, we've been like in this pressure cooker together for the past month and a half. And it seems to be going pretty darn well.
I understand Spirit Gun's recording soon. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's the plan. Like I said, we do have the 4-song EP. That's just like an acoustic duo EP. But yes, we do have an EP coming out called New Eyes, which will be the full band. And then that leads to a more full-length offering that'll be available next year.
Okay, and the song you're about to play, Gypsy in Exile, that's going to be on it?
I believe so. I believe it'll be track 3. Yeah, we are glad to be in a DIY type of environment where we can be ourselves. And it's not just some dude that we find that we pay. We work with people in-house that love these songs and love what we're about.
And the song you're going to play for us today, Gypsy in Exile, tell us about that. What's it about?
It's strange because lyrics will come to me and I will have no idea what they mean. But I do later. Maybe it's about, people with survival instincts, you're looking at the highway of your failed relationships and...
Oh, okay. Well, for the other song you're going to play later too, Occam's Razor, what's that one about?
I wanted to kind of portray an idea of the people that seem to hide behind social media and sit here by the phone, Like sometimes I just want to have a phone conversation with somebody. I want to hear their voice because the inflections, you don't get an inflection from a text or a messenger. A lot of people, they can be different in person than what they are. So I'm kind of like telling a story about a guy that kind of meets a woman online. I'm not really sure, insert imagination here, but he kind of meets a woman, thinks she's like, the bomb, diggity. But then he goes out with her and he, kind of finds out that she's reckless and out of control. And
your true colors start to show, sort of thing.
Well, not just that, but maybe, that's a good way to put it. So I guess that's probably pretty much it. But then also at the same time, there's a duality of, hey, you can be yourself. You don't have to hide behind all this other stuff.
Well, Pete's going to go ahead and play for us. This is Gypsy in Exile.
time has passed. Ours was a love made to last. Oh, don't you know? I'll go down in the valley where the drunk and lone-hearted people go. Don't go, don't go, don't go. You can break my heart. Oh, you can't have my soul. Not even that. And I don't go down in the valley where the lonely and the heartbroken go. Don't you go. Don't go. Don't go.
Wow. All right. You just heard Pete Overstreet of Spirit Gun giving you a little sneak preview of what is to come on their EP that will be entitled New Eyes. Killer set of pipes there on Pete. Coming up next is a track from a local group as well called DJ P and Mr.T. This is the second track off their LP, Won't Be Tamed, and it's called Tracing Fireworks.
He turns to walk you out. Reflections in my eyes.
That was DJP and Mr.T serving up some unique synth pop, and their members are certainly active in the Norfolk music scene as well. Singer Jackie Payoella also performs in White Shades as well as Prairie Empire, plus is a recording engineer. Tyler Warnalis also runs Oh Hey Distro and also books many shows with TBA Productions for shows at Charlie's American Cafe. For those of you not aware, Charlie's is also an excellent place to catch local music in Norfolk. Plus, it's not just local music, they bring acts from all over. You can check out the TVA Productions Facebook page for our show updates happening there. Up next, here we have Deathhouse Blues with Love in Vain.
With a suitcase in my hand. Well, I followed her along to the station with a suitcase in my hand. Well, it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell. All your love's in vain, all your love's in vain. When the train come in the station, I looked her in the eye. When the train come in the station, I looked her in the eye. Well, I felt so sad and lonesome, I could not help but cry. All your love's in vain. It had two lights on behind. When the train left the station, it had two lights on behind. Well, the blue light was my boo. The red light was my mind. All your love's in vain.
You just heard Deathhouse Blues with Love in Vain from their album House of Scotch, which you can pick up on Bandcamp. In just a moment, we're going to hear another from Pete Overstreet of Spirit Gun, but before that, here is Feral Conservatives with their track, Bus Driver.
I'm still here 'cause I made a false starts. Wow. I'm still here 'cause I made a false
Feral Conservatives with the song Bus Driver from their album Here's to Almost. I'm back here with Pete Overstreet from Spirit Gun, who is going to play us another song from their upcoming EP, New Eyes, in a bit. But before we get to that, Pete, I was wondering if you could tell us about your influences and perhaps give us a little insight into the shape of the sound you've developed with Spirit Gun.
Oh man, there's such a tremendous amount of stuff, but I would have to say the first and second Black Rebel Motorcycle Club albums, a big reason. The early Cure stuff is a big reason, like Staring at the Sea, all that early, BBC stuff. All things Otis Redding and Sam Cooke. And I didn't really listen to soul music unless it, came on the radio or you hear it in an independent movie soundtrack or something like that, But I started embracing it, I guess, a couple years ago. I went and saw the New York Dolls with this opening band from Texas called Black Joe Lewis and the Honey Bears. And I was like, man, why am I not doing soul music? So that's kind of like it's kind of an amalgamation of that. And that and, Grace from Jeff Buckley. I had, I think, was completely changed after hearing that first album.
It's interesting you mentioned that because after seeing you live, I can hear that in it too. It's like your voice brings out like the R&B and soul influences, but then the band behind you has really got like that rock, like punk rock almost like drive to it.
Yeah, and that's really what I'm trying to do. I was like, I want to do post-punk and soul. I don't know how in the world I'm going to do it. Let's just see if it kind of becomes that, or you don't want to tell certain club owners that you have punk influence because that's just like a dirty word to them. Isn't that funny? After all these years, no matter how commercialized people try to make punk rock or punk music or punk fashion, it seems like it still is a dangerous word. Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's the pulse of rock and roll. People forget that. Rock and roll needs to still have a pulse.
Are there any songs that'll be on New Eyes that you haven't done live? Any uncharted territory?
I think all the ones that people know are on there. I think that we're going to go definitely with Occam's Razor, which would be the second track. And we're going to go with Restless, which is the real nice slow R&B tune that we do. Actually one that I wrote when I saw that New York Dolls show. I think I wrote it like the next day.
Oh, what's that, Occam's Razor?
No, Restless. After that, seeing that soul band, that was like, and that's good. That's, in my opinion, I think that's what all this stuff should be about, is that we all go and see each other and we get stirred up to go home and create. Where we're really happy that this guy is playing out of town and, we're all kind of wanting each other to do well.
I hear that. Speaking of getting stirred up and going out to see each other, what local groups have you been to see and who interests you?
Well, I'm a very big fan of Jen Adamas and the Caltip and Playboys. They are just fun and they're tight. I've never played a show with them. Would love to. But they are always entertaining, and I know some of them, but not very well. Always would love to hang with them. Another band that I really like a lot that we just played with was Feral Conservatives. I had never had a chance to really see them live. I'd heard them on Out of the Box, and they are doing really good. And I'm very proud that that's the thing. If another band is doing good and touring, that just makes everybody else, that gives everybody else more of a chance for whoever is looking at them to eventually turn their eyes and gaze on us and see, like, well, what else is going on in this area? That's what happened with Seattle. It just takes a couple bands to make it and get out here and play and not get crumbled or ostracized by a major record label, to chew you up and spit you out, which it's a different time now. We don't really have to do that anymore. Another band, well, of course, the Cemetery Boys, those guys, they do their own thing and they're not trying to change what they do. And I just love those guys. There's nobody else that does that, and I'm glad. And Deathhouse Blues. Deathhouse Blues. They have their own, their own style, their own songs, their own sort of world that you get to come into when they're playing. And I've known Gabe for a number of years now, and I think it's really great that he's like, a lot like me. You have member changes, you have life, you have stuff, but you keep going, and sometimes that's hard to do.
Yeah, but keep fighting the good fight, though.
I'm glad to see that Deathhouse Blues is still going, and I'm glad to see that we're still going, and very excited about, like I said, what Feral Conservatives is doing, and what Cemetery Boys are doing. I haven't really been out as much as I'd like to be, but that's changing now. So.
All right, well, Pete's gonna play us one more song before we go, but on that note, a real quick recap on the local venues. Some great places to see bands we mentioned earlier were the Norfolk Tap House and Charlie's American Cafe, but also just a few others are 37th and Zen, the FM Restaurant out on Granby Street, Toast, and the Commune. Also, there's Shotguns if you're making a trip out to the beach. And now here's Pete Overstreet from Spirit Gun with a song from their upcoming New Eyes EP called Occam's Razor.
Talk, you're alone. I'll chat with you on the screen. Oh, blue eyes in the tides, never seen my whole life. Oh, baby, don't give it away. But you're so far away. I wanna feel the love you give me. But you're so out of time. Eyes are glazed, lips are stained with wine. Walking through broken glass. You say you wanna dance on the freeway. I guess the party's over now. You just live inside your heart. Won't you take a chance and just break free? But you're so far away. I wanna feel the love you give me. Come on, baby. So out of time, eyes are glazed, lips are stained with wine. Now you don't have to always be this way. You don't have to carry all that pain, all those lies that you believe. No more. But you're so far away. But you're so out of time. Lips are stained with wine.
You just heard Pete Overstreet from Spirit Gun here on Holidays in the Sun. An important thing to jot down: if you would like to book Spirit Gun for a show, you can do so by sending an email to booking@spiritgunmusic.com. That wraps up this first episode of Holidays in the Sun. For the next episode, I'll be covering some world music. I'm going to play a little game of Spin the Globe. Spin it, and wherever my finger lands, we'll play some interesting folk or roots, world music from whatever area it lands on. And as for local music here in Norfolk, Virginia, this certainly won't be the last episode on that, as we've only just scratched the surface.